Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Funding for Virginia Startups and Growing Companies. I'm Gustavo Blair, Assistant Director for National Business Investment at the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the event tonight that we're presenting in partnership with the digital transformation community of the Northern Virginia Technology Council. Thank you for taking the time to be part of our live event. Tonight, we have a panel of experts who will explain the grants that their organizations provide to growing companies. We will also cover the services that the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority delivers to companies in Fairfax County. Now, Victor Hoskins. Good evening, Victor. Welcome.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. This is an incredible event. There are over 300 people registered, and I'm Victor Hoskins, and I have the honor of serving as the CEO of Fairfax County Economic Development. An event like this one does not happen in a vacuum. In this case, it happens with the collaboration of great partners that bring a lot of expertise to the subject. The Northern Virginia Technology Council, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, and the National Science Foundation. I want to thank you all so much for pulling this together. These experts are going to provide you with the opportunities for funding for commercializing projects, for funds for technical assistance, research, and for development, and to grow your companies internationally. There, Alex Sanchez of the Economic Development Authority will also highlight the free resources that can help Virginia companies grow their business. This is a great location for startups and growing companies. Fairfax County and Northern Virginia are known for more than a dozen Fortune 500 corporations, and we received over $31 billion in federal procurement last year. It is also the home of nearly 205,000 fast-growing companies, which are incredible in our region. They're producing so many jobs. In addition to that, we have a strong minority business community and over 8,700 technology companies with robust services in both the public and private sector. Companies such as Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Google, Facebook are all present here. Amazon Web Services, Amazon's data center arm based in the East Coast headquarters right here in Herndon. The tech ecosystem in Northern Virginia is perfect for startups and for growing companies. You will hear tonight from the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, which over the years has invested over $10 million in 66 startups in Northern Virginia. And they have leveraged over $472 million in private investment and created over 2,600 jobs. Here's one amazing thing. Just one company, for example, ID.me, which employs thousands in Northern Virginia, has an investment from this organization. Don't you wish that were you? Well, listen to this program, you can get there. Northern Virginia has an amazing tech ecosystem. Northern Virginia's headquarters of the cloud. 70% of all the cloud capacity in our country lies right here in Northern Virginia. Micron is a huge chip maker right out in Manassas. And then we have Prince William County with its growing life science sector. And of course, we have George Mason University right here, Virginia Tech not far away. And I have to say, these two powerhouses are really helping our companies grow. In fact, Northern Virginia has been long a hub for startup and innovations. As a matter of fact, the internet actually started here. Yes, it did, the ARPANET in Northern Virginia. You're going to get a lot of information tonight. And all I can say is listen closely, pick your spots, ask your questions, and grow your company. John, back to you.
Thanks for setting up the conversation today, Victor. Well said. Thank you, Victor. Before we begin the discussion, let's do a quick poll. A couple questions are going to pop up for you. The first question is, what topics are you interested in learning about tonight? International sales, operational support, funding for R&D, so research and development, or commercializing your product? The second question is, what type of business do you have? Is it a technology business, a product business, a service business, or is it some other type of business like a retail store? I'll give you a few moments to answer these questions, and then we'll see the results momentarily. Okay, so the results are here. A number of companies are looking for funding for research and development, commercializing your product. Maybe these companies are early stage and international sales is not on the horizon for them, but they'll learn about that today. And operational support, a fifth of the companies are looking for that. And then in terms of the types of companies we have, technology, products, services, and others. So I think there's really a lot for you today. And even for those who are not as interested in international sales, probably in the future, you'll grow into a company that may have that interest. So let's go ahead and just continue this discussion here. And to bring on the moderator of the panel, I have Vice President of Commercialization, Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, Sean Mallon. So Sean, the floor is yours. Thanks very much.
Well, thanks very much, John, and thank you, Victor, for your introduction as well. I'm going to introduce the panelists by name and the name of their organization, and then we'll go from there straight into our questions. So let's go ahead. Here we go. So first of all, Diane Hickey, and Diane joins us from the National Science Foundation. And I think everybody is going to enjoy what she has to say. Next, we have Jeanette Townsend. She and I work at the same organization, the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation. Alex Sanchez, Fairfax County Economic Development. Glad to have you, Alex, and looking forward to your remarks. And Ellen Meinhardt at the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. So welcome to all of you. And here we go. As we move into this next section of the format, I'm going to kick it off, starting with you, Diane. And just, I'm going to ask everyone just to give 30 seconds about yourself.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Diane Hickey. I work for the National Science Foundation. I have a PhD in materials science and engineering and almost a full master's in science communication. And I'm in my past, I have run small startup companies. I have worked for small technology startup companies, and my own company that I left to take this position about 1.5 years ago was focused actually on assisting small companies commercialize highly technical products.
Great, thank you. Jeanette, you're next. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So Jeanette Townsend, I'm serving as the Business Development Manager for the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund. I support the private sector program. My background is actually in project management and technology development. I have to say this is probably the most interesting and exciting job that I've ever had. I think just learning about all the entrepreneurs in Virginia and what's being done is just a thrill a minute. So happy to be here. Thanks.
Great. Alex, how about you?
Thank you, Sean. I'm excited to be part of today's discussion. My name is Alex Sanchez. I'm a business investment manager and support software, data analytics, and cloud companies in the county. We help companies with identifying funding, site location, communications, talent initiative, and events. I also have a number of roles outside of FCEDA. I'm part of the Northern Virginia Technology Council's digital transformation community and serve on the board for Tyson's and McLean Chamber of Commerce. So our focus is to be a resource for companies looking to start, expand, or relocate to Fairfax County.
Super. Ellen, you're next.
My job is to help Virginia companies pursue international markets. And I love my job because it's a culmination of my professional and educational experiences. I have an IT and business development background working for IBM, NCR, and launching a Microsoft-funded initiative that helped Australian IT companies increase their sales. I've worked in 2 export departments of German manufacturers. For 5 years, I identified, qualified, and confirmed meetings with US partners and clients for companies that were in Egypt, Australia, Wales, and a variety of other countries. And I paid for my MBA in international business and marketing by being a graduate assistant and helping small and medium-sized businesses with their international market entry plans in Dayton, Ohio. And in a nutshell, my experience with Virginia's fantastic international business development resources can really help you be successful selling internationally.
Okay, well, thank you very much, all four of you. And I think your remarks are a good segue. Diane, we're going to come back to you. I'm going to ask all of you kind of basically the same question, which is, tell us about your organization and the funding programs that your organization has that support entrepreneurs.
So at the National Science Foundation, I work with the Small Business Innovation Research Program. It's also SBIR or STTR. If you're used to working with the Department of Defense, they might call it SBIR. But it's a program that every federal agency gets if they get any research funding. They also have to have an SBIR, STTR program. And what the SBIR program is comes out, it's a congressionally mandated program. In the 70s, Congress was giving funding to federal agencies to do basic research. And they do basic research, and then everyone has heard on the news or read the article, a researcher has discovered and published it, and one day it could do. And it was just that Congress was waiting for that one day it could do that wasn't quite getting there. So they started the program for small businesses to take research from the innovation and bring it out to the public. So that's what this program is for. It's highly competitive, especially at the National Science Foundation. About only 10% of all proposals that come to us get funded, but we do have a very simple application procedure. You start at seedfund.gov. And we start with a pitch, which basically is you just kind of type in the answers to the questions that we're looking to evaluate on. And we let you know if you seem like a good fit for our program. And if so, we'll invite you to submit a proposal. The amount of money, probably important. First, for a phase one, which is about 6 months to 12 months, you'll get approximately $250,000, give or take. And then phase two is a 2-year program, and that is $1 million with quite a few optional supplements. So at the end of the day, you can get almost 1.8 million from the National Science Foundation to assist your business to get an innovation out into the market.
That is great. And that reminds me, Diane, of why we refer to the NSF or the SBIR program as America's Seed Fund. It is a tremendous source of early stage funding for, deep tech and difficult tech programs. And it has, in any given year, helps thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs to move the ball down the field. Thank you. That's great. Jeanette, you're next. Tell us a little bit more about the organization that the artist formerly known as CIT.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sean. I'm going to start with a little segue on what Diane shared with the SBIR and STTR funding. VIPC does have a federal funding assistance program. And with this program, what we seek to do is provide training for potential applicants. But we also have a small grant that's available to help applicants hire a professional SBIR consultant as well. You can find information on that on the website under the SBIR STTR support. And in addition, we have several funding programs. We have our Virginia Venture Partners, which provide our GAP funds, which are our seed stage equity investment in our technology-based companies, as well as the Virginia Founders Fund and the Virginia Partners Fund. The Founders Fund and Partners Fund both provide pre-seed stage funding with a very specific focus. The Founders Fund is for women and minority-owned startups, and our Partners Fund is geared towards traditionally underserved geographies. There's also the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund, and that is funding of up to $75,000 for private sector companies that are very early stage startups. We also provide higher education funding as well, and are getting ready to release that program.
Great. Thank you, Jeanette. Alex, to you next.
Great. So I'm going to break it down in regards to how we help with funding and other resources outside of funding that FCEDA is involved in. One thing I like to mention, just like the poll questions highlighted, we support a wide variety of industries. We offer operational support, collaborate with the partners and the panelists that you see today with NSF, the IPC, and VDP for companies seeking funding. We help identify grant and incentive programs to promote operational growth. And just two examples I like to mention deal with reskilling and revolving loan fund for the Northern Virginia technology industries. So for reskilling, a lot of Virginia companies are not aware of certification reimbursements. So we work closely with Virginia CareerWorks, who oversees the incumbent worker training program, which reimburse employers up to 90% of their certification cost. Also opportunities within Community Business Partnership, which is a business incubator. They have announced a new financing program funded by Freedom Bank and our partners in today's event, Northern Virginia Technology Council, called the NOVA Technology Fund, which is designed to help underrepresented entrepreneurs in the technology industry located in Northern Virginia. These are just two out of many other examples we highlight with companies looking for operational support. One thing I like to do is switch back into the gears in regards to FCEDA and our internal resources. We have a member of our team who oversees the Capital Attraction Program. And the Capital Attraction Program works with entrepreneurs to seek resources, programs, and in some cases, we can identify venture capital. We also provide free business counseling services through SCORE, which is powered by the SBA. The SCORE members are here to serve as advisors and mentors to companies in any stages of the business life cycle from launch to exit. And FCEDA has dedicated SCORE mentors with backgrounds in IT services, government contracting, and digital transformation. So every company faces different challenges and operational needs. We meet with the companies regularly and learn about those needs and tailor our services to promote company growth. And to the second part of that question, other resources besides funding. So just outside of funding specific resources, we help companies who are seeking to relocate or expand within Fairfax County. So we utilize our real estate team to set up site location tours for potential prospects. We provide market intelligence data. We also host multiple events, including our upcoming March 1st event titled Entrepreneurship 101. Now, this is a virtual workshop that features a panel of small business experts on how to start a business. And another event on March 3rd is titled Choosing a Business Space in Fairfax County. These events just further highlight the logistics and resources when considering working in Fairfax County, and are profiled in our events calendar on fairfaxcountyeda.org. There's a lot of other services that we provide, and I could pass the mic back to you, Sean, and I can expand on those in later discussions.
Great, thanks, Alex. Thanks so much. I was thinking myself as everyone's talking, like, thank goodness we're recording this, because I, among others, I'm sure, are going to have to go back through because there's a lot of information coming across over the line. Ellen, your turn. Tell us a little bit more about the Virginia Economic Development Partnership and specifically the work that you do.
Thank you, Sean. So I work in international trade, and my resources and grants are specifically for Virginia companies that want to actively pursue international markets. I saw one lone person who wants to go international. Please contact me, but I'm sure a lot of others will soon be interested in pursuing international. If you've got a patent, or when you start selling, if you're doing really well in the United States and you've got a very sort of unique value proposition, most likely eventually you'll want to pursue international markets. There's a lot of help for you. Consider there's someone like me in every corner of Virginia. So if you're not located in Northern Virginia, I've got colleagues all around Virginia, and we have three main resources to help you successfully enter international markets. We have customized international research, outsourced international business development, and then we have grants. And our customized research essentially helps you make the world smaller, figure out where in the world you should be selling. And once we figure out that, we have contractors. When I say contractors in businesses, we have contractors in 83 countries that I tell people, think of them that you've got an outsourced business development team in 83 countries. They can help you understand what's going on in your market, your industries, if there's regulatory requirements, who are your competitors, whatever you need to know to successfully enter that market. And then they can also be your outsourced business development person. So they can get you customized meetings with partners and clients in that country. And they're all extremely subsidized prices to do this. We also go on trade missions. In fact, I'm going to the UAE on Friday to lead our UAE and Saudi trade missions, where our UAE and Saudi contractors are putting together customized meetings for the 9 companies that are coming with me to that region of the market. We also exhibit at a lot of trade shows worldwide. We go to a lot of defense shows because there's so many defense companies here in Virginia. We're going to be at Paris Air Show, which is an aviation and space trade show. We're going to SMM, a maritime trade show. I'm leading a trade show to, it's called InfoSec Security. It's a big cyber show in London. It's only $2,500 to exhibit with us, a huge, huge savings. And then in terms of grants, all the resources I just described, any Virginia company, no matter what the size, can take advantage of. For our grants, though, you need to be a certain size. It's small, but you can't just be a one-person operation. We've got for two full-time people in Virginia, we've got a $6,000 grant that'll reimburse international marketing and PR. For a company with 5 full-time people in Virginia, we've got an e-commerce grant if you want to pursue. It's a $10,000 grant to pursue international clients. We've got a $10,000 grant to help you exhibit at international trade shows. We got another $10,000 grant, which is a sort of a mini export accelerator program. And then we have a $30,000 grant that's a part of our 2-year export accelerator program, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. And on average, companies that have participated in that have increased their international sales about 43%. Basically, call me for anything international. I'm a good go-to person, and thank you.
That's great. I don't know. I don't think it was a plan to do the survey again, the poll again, but I imagine that if we redid it right now, your percent would have jumped from 1% to about 25% at least. Thank you very much for that. So we're going to work our way back down the line, and I'm going to go to Diane. And Diane, I had planned one question to you, but I feel like you answered it pretty well last time. So I'm going to take a slightly different stab at it, which is the National Science Foundation is known as the kind of seed funder for difficult, big opportunities that are difficult, right? So you're not going to look as favorably on, what we might look at as kind of a Main Street business. You're not in the business of funding that. You really need something tougher than that. Can you maybe put a little bit more around that for our audience so that they understand the kinds of opportunities and industries that you all are looking at?
Absolutely. Thanks. It's a great question. It probably is great to start with what we do use to define whether it's a match for our program. And we have 3 merit review criteria. We bring in experts from external to the government who are experts in whatever we need to assess. The first one being intellectual merit. Is it adding to the intellectual knowledge that of the area? Intellectual merit, broader impact. Does it have a broad impact? It's not just a narrow slice of something. And the third one being commercial viability. If you are making something of value, if you are solving a large problem, someone will trade you something of value for it. Normally that's money. So we want to see that it's commercially viable. You might be solving a huge technical problem for the whatever industry, but if they have to, my example is always if you have something that Intel could use or Amazon, but that they have to change their entire warehousing process to use your innovation, not commercially viable. But what a lot of people do use us for is we are the National Science Foundation. So if you have some way out, crazy, really innovative technology, and it comes to us, and we get our experts to look at it and go, yeah, that is high risk, but high reward. And we give the phase 1. At that point, many companies, especially high tech, deep tech, many companies are able to take that back to the funding mechanisms and say, the science has gotten a stamp of approval, or we got to the phase 2, the science and the commercialization has gotten a stamp of approval from the National Science Foundation. At that point, then typically it is not as difficult to raise follow-on funding. Does that answer the question?
That is wonderful. Thank you very much. Just exactly what I was looking for. So I'm going to turn to you, Jeanette, again. Diane talked about kind of the science and the deep tech. Similar kind of question for you. What level of maturity and what kinds of sectors would a startup need to fall into to be interesting for VIPC in one of its programs?
So VIPC is looking at seed stage, very early seed stage startups. So we're looking there on the very early side of development, and we're looking at technology development. So we're looking for opportunities to advance technology, which will commercialize within the Commonwealth. So it is often at that very early stage, that startup can be the pre-MVP or up to MVP stage as well for our different programs. And on the technology side, we do look at specific industries, depending on the program, and all of it's, of course, detailed on the website. But we're looking at, life science, clean tech, looking at technology opportunities. And all of those are things that are of interest to us. Something that is looking at that technology, deep tech in particular is of interest on our commercialization program. And of course, on our university programs, the research and development side of things on the commercialization.
That's great. So it really kind of spans from kind of the difficult deep tech to what you think of as more kind of general tech. And then occasionally things that kind of fall more in the tech enabled, not so much that from time to time.
Exactly. I think if you look at the life cycle development of a startup and you look at that very early research development, you're looking at that very early stage, that's really where we're interested, and we're interested all the way up through the MVP.
Awesome. Thank you. So Alex, back to you. And I know you said you were going to save something, but I wanted to, without knowing exactly kind of who all is on with us this evening, other than it's a large number. What are some of the programs that the Economic Development Authority offers to more of that kind of mainstream entrepreneur, mainstream business entrepreneur, not necessarily a shopkeeper, but something that's less scalable, that's less technology or technologically driven?
And that's the most interesting part about this job is we really want to find those types of technologies because they have a lot of questions. And here at the EDA, we partner with a wide variety of organizations. And if I don't know the answer, I know the staff of 40 plus people at FCEDA do as well. So, one thing I would have to say that is a kind of a big topical informational piece would be, what type of organizations, if I do have this certain technology, that I can network with people like my audience. One thing that I always like to lead into is Northern Virginia Technology Council. So over 300 tech companies are members. There's a wide variety of events and community of interest with people with those type of technologies that can kind of learn of the how-tos in regards to those programs. I'm part of the digital transformation community that focuses in with AI, ML, which offers educational networking and private and public partnership opportunities. And the great thing about these types of organization is exposure. So if someone does have this type of issue and they want to have a discussion of how to scale up, these networking opportunities are here to work with people within their audience to do so.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And Ellen, turning to you now, you've really piqued my curiosity about all these export opportunities. And by the way, for the audience, I was involved a number of years ago with an effort, kind of an export promotion effort like this. And it happened to be a microbrewery just inside the Beltway. And by the end of the process, they were selling their beer to the English ambassador in Washington, who threw a party with the beer, and then arranged for the first export of several crates full of this stuff over to England, which is, you know, I don't really like English beer that much either, but I thought that was a huge coup. Anyway, Ellen, back to you. Share with us a memorable export assistance success story.
Glad to do it. And I think I know the beer company. We got a lot of craft beer and craft spirits being sold internationally from the Commonwealth of Virginia. The first one that pops in my mind is just because I've written a case study recently about it. It's K-12, which is an online education. That is a bigger company that I normally work with. I'm normally working with small and medium-sized companies. K-12 is about 4,300 people. They're headquartered here in Fairfax County, but they had divested of all their international business, and perfect timing, but they just decided to take a look at international again weirdly enough, during our India trade mission of February 2020. So couldn't have been better timing. And so they came with me, and I led that India trade mission. We were in Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi. They met with 16 partners, and they ended up, by the end of 2020, I think it was 6 private schools. They were trialing their online education with 40 teachers and 200 students in India. And our contractors are such a tremendous resource to people, because they are doing, if anybody's done cold calling, I've done a ton of calling. It's a ton of work, reaching out, messaging, following up, confirming these meetings. And it saves companies a ton of time and energy, and can really, I always say our programs can really sort of jumpstart your international business, and without a lot of time and effort on your that you have to put out initially. So we've got, I have a lot of, that's when I love my jobs. I love these success stories. And, but that's just one specifically about an online education company here in Fairfax County. And I'll put the case study in the chat button if anybody wants to read the whole story.
Perfect. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to suggest that we transition to our Q&A section. I've popped open the Q&A box, and there's some great questions already. I'm going to start with this one from Praveen, who has a natural flavored tea. They come from the southern part of India, where tea is an essential part, and they're looking for commercialization help. I think one of the programs is one that Alex mentioned, which is SCORE, which is a national network of mentors that help entrepreneurs. And particularly, this is kind of where there's a bit of a distinction between tech and non-tech, right? What you have in this program this evening is more about tech and scalability, but there are plenty of resources for companies that are not tech. So SCORE is one that I would recommend. And the other one, and I don't have the link right here, maybe someone can put it up, is the Virginia SBDC network. And here in Virginia, and other states have the equivalent to that, but in the Virginia SBDC, it stands for the Small Business Development Center, SBDC. And there are dozens and dozens of SBDC counselors all around the state, many of them in Northern Virginia, who will, on a free of charge basis, meet with you, discuss your business, brainstorm on what you have and what you don't have and what you need and what you still need to find. So that's a really good resource, Praveen, and I hope you can avail yourself of that. Ellen is making a movement like she wants to answer this too.
Well, I just want to point out that there's the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, and they help these food and beverage companies significantly, so you can reach out to them. And a lot of times they will bring international buyers actually to Virginia to check out Virginia food and liquor and beverages as well.
Awesome.
I definitely want to add, to the point, we work closely with Alan Meinhardt, as well as with FCDA. We do have international offices, and we have offices out in Bangalore, Mumbai, and we have international counterpart who oversees that entire area and works closely on information in regards to India and businesses coming over into the Fairfax County. And then we work with Alan Meinhardt as well. So that's just an added resource outside of international trade and SCORE.
So I'm looking at a couple here. One of the questions is, are companies based in areas outside of Fairfax able to apply for these funds? Yes, absolutely. Every person represented on this call has programs that are available, or at least that you can assist outside. Alex, being Fairfax County Economic Development, is perhaps the exception, but there are similar types of programs offered around the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, there's a question: do you provide funding for small businesses that support other nonprofits? And I'm going to kind of toss that out. I'm not aware of anything like that. Those tend to be normal businesses, right? Where you have a skill and you sell that skill set to somebody that needs your help, right? Kind of a normal kind of contract or something like that. But certainly from the panelists, welcome to jump in if you can think of any programs that provide funding for small businesses that support other nonprofits.
Well, I mean, all I can think about is that if they need to help with their business, operations and that sort of thing, obviously all these ones like SCORE and SBDC can help with that. And then a lot of the associations, for if you're like a PR marketing firm or wherever, they also have resources, within them too, a lot of times.
Right. All right. So this is, yeah, go ahead.
I can't think of one example that there is a great need to track your donations to nonprofits, or to use that to make a larger investment. And I have seen companies come in with, it's a for-profit company, and their customers, this goes back to commercialization, always know who's writing the check. Their customer is going to be the Fidelities of the world, or whatever the world, or whoever is making these larger, helping high net worth individuals, helping them make a conscientious investment or donation, and they want to track it, or they want to create a trust. And this actually, it's a for-profit company, but it's looking to assist or connect the nonprofits to the funders. So that might be an example. But for our program and for any SBIR program, it must be a for-profit company.
Thanks. So I'm going to jump to this question that is awesome. How motivated are these organizations to fund early stage product and service solutions? And specifically in sustainability and recycling industry using SaaS-based solutions. So let me just talk to the first part of that question first, which is, each one of us on this call today wake up every morning obsessing how we're going to help entrepreneurs move the ball down the field and be successful. So I would say that to everybody here and many people across these programs are highly motivated to support, both in terms of time and advisory, but also in terms of funds. I mean, we have Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation has state funding to put out, both in the form of equity investments as well as in grants. And in terms of sustainability and recycling industry, absolutely. One of the lenses I think that we're always looking for is, can this turn into something big, right? So if even if it's doing something like, recycling, or people say, oh, there's no money in recycling. Well, if you can find a solution to make recycling more efficient and more profitable, then there'll absolutely be a demand for your product. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that we get really excited about. The other panelists, you want to chime in on this question?
I would say from an international point of view, I am constantly getting information about which countries are interested in what type of things, and for example, the recycling. I will get something like, hey, in Malaysia, they need this type of recycling, and here's why. So I definitely am getting different things that can point you to places around the world who need your product, your product or service.
So I'm going to do a shout out to Northern Virginia Technology Council. Kara is on the phone and put a note in. NVTC, which is a wonderful organization that's been around for a long, long time, advocating on behalf of particularly technology companies in Northern Virginia. does have a startup company membership tier, which makes it very affordable for you to get involved with NBTC. They have a lot of different committees. They do a lot of great networking events. And so that's my shout out to NBTC. And if you have any questions, Kara's email is there on the chat. Let's see here, the roller skating. Let me scroll down a little bit. So we do not need seed money. Our technology is fully developed and we need fundings, investors to go to market. If your technology is fully developed, I would suggest going and getting customers, because customers are the best way to fund your company going forward. If the customers aren't ready, then I think you need to consider whether the technology is what customers want to buy. I think to a point that Diane made before, so at the end of the day, you got to build something that people want. So we could have a long discussion about that. So I'm going to skip over that unless, again, my esteemed panelists would like to chime in on that.
Sean, I do want to say that for people, it is really important to have an American success story before you pursue international markets most of the time. Every now and I get an exception to that, but yeah, you do need have some case studies before you pursue international business normally.
Correct, absolutely right. I'm looking at a couple of others. This is Somia, who says, what stage should the idea be in? Not all ideas will be in an implementation phase. That's absolutely right. I know that from the standpoint of BIPC, we'll talk to you if it's an idea. We may not say yes when it's an idea. We may say, you know, get a little bit more meat on the bones, proverbially, and they're good programs. And I'm gonna do a shout out for one more program that I'm personally a big fan of, and that's the ICAP program, which is a program within the Virginia SBDC, and it's a mentorship and lean startup program that basically kicks you in the butt to go out and work out who your customers are going to be and whether they like what you want to build. And it's an early opportunity to start to pivot based on what customers want and not what you want. Continuing with Somia, does this include technology services? That's a great question. And I think generally services are not as interesting to investors, both from a grant perspective as well as from an equity investment perspective, because the assumption is you don't need capital to start a services company. Services company are all about delivering services. So you as an individual can start your own services company and be the sole deliverer of those services until you get big enough. And then you hire a second person that can continue to deliver those services. So you don't have this big nut of capital that's required to turn the lights on with your business. And it's different when you're building a technology product, because there you really need to bring a bunch of pieces together before a customer is going to send you a bunch of money to buy your product from you. Others would like to chime in on that. I think it's an important distinction. Okay.
Internationally, services are very, very difficult because of competitors like India, the Philippines, and other countries with smart people, and that you don't have to pay a lot. So it's a hard one internationally as well.
Thanks, Ellen. This is a question that I'm not sure how to answer, from Letitia. For non-tech companies, who could we reach to for partnerships with sales professionals? The first thing that comes to my mind is Indeed. Go ahead, Diane.
And this is something I was surprised. Every week I have a phone call with my awardee companies because they know I don't answer email. And so if they need something desperately from me, but I mentioned when they're talking about hiring or whatever, and when you're just in a startup, you don't need a full-time employees normally. My next, something I use with my company, and it was brilliant, was called Upwork. And in fact, some other SBIR companies that I know, SBIR service companies, they use Upwork exclusively to sell their services. And then on Upwork takes care of all of your invoicing and things like that. And I was just shocked to find out how many people were not aware of this phenomenal resource. I needed a quick video made for a client, just because it would make more sense to see it in a quick video. And for a couple $100 in 24 hours, we had it, rather than having to learn or hire.
You know, that's really an excellent point. And it's hardly a week goes by when I'm talking with an entrepreneur and they're saying, well, I need to hire a CFO. Like, well, you mean like a CFO or a fractional CFO, someone that can help you do your bookkeeping? And usually it's the latter. And the latter means that they need to spend, $500 a month and not $10,000 a month. So it really makes a big difference and allows very early stage companies to get a lot more. So I think that's a great point, Diane.
And for some of those people that are doing like really deep tech or AI or ML or VR type of work, not even any of these grants is going to be able to pay a full-time person, and you probably don't need it.
That's right. And by the way, just parenthetically too, like if you start a business, you don't need to have an office. It doesn't need to be your use of capital, particularly now that we've all learned how to use Zoom.
I would, Sean,
yes.
I just want to mention I'm a member of something called the Institute of Excellence in Sales up here in Northern Virginia, the IES, and they are just a great resource to just help anyone learn to be a better salesperson and business development person. And you can meet a lot of sales and business development people there as well.
Awesome.
Just to also mention, when it comes to redeveloping and reskilling, that goes hand in hand with the Become Worker training program. So you can get reimbursements based off of those certifications.
Okay.
Can we get Ellen to put that in the chat, a link to?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just while we're talking about links in chat, our dear friend Ann Rosenblum, who must be listening in, hello Ann, has kindly dropped in the virginiasbdc.org link. So that's where you'll find the SBDC counselors, and that's also where you'll find a link to ICAP, ICAP. Let's see here. So there's a question a minute ago about support for women and minority activity, and certainly at BIPC, we have specific programs that are designed in support of that. We have more of our traditional programs that kind of capture everybody, but we have some that are particularly on the early stage side that you should look into. I don't know if anyone else on the line has any other such comments.
One thing I would mention is, Fairfax County has the most minority women and veteran-owned employers in the DMV. We work closely with business diversity, and that's one thing that we can also do is, during these types of conversations, please take down my contact information, because we love to share different type of programs and further discussions.
And I know we're getting really late on time, but I just wanted to pop in that the National Science Foundation is deeply interested in broadening our participation for women, minorities, not only for applicants, but also we have a lot of job openings. So in case you tried the whole startup and realize it's really hard to do, very rewarding, very hard, feel free to look at our opportunities as well.
Awesome. Well, time has come. One last shout out I'm going to make, because our colleague Robert Brook is on as well. And if you scroll down towards the end of the Q&A, you'll see a number of SBR training webinars that he is organizing over the coming weeks. I see you on April 28th, May 25th, and June 7th. You can go to the virginiaipc.org and click on SBIR, and you'll see all of those listed, but there they are. I would like to say thank you to all of the panelists for your time and thoughtful comments and answers tonight. I would like to say thank you to the 114 remaining participants on this call. We were up in the 130s, I think, a little bit ago. And it's really great to have you all come out on I guess it's Wednesday already, isn't it? On a Wednesday evening and chat with us. And I hope that it's been valuable for everybody. And we got through a bunch of questions. And thank you also for those of you who did put in questions. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Sean. What a great and informative discussion you moderated. Just one last point. There are several places here in Fairfax County. There's over 25 co-working facilities, and some of them are quite reasonable. And that's where a lot of collisions sometimes happen. When you're a startup, you're meeting with others, you see another startup that you could partner with. So that's just something else to consider. And we understand we use technology. In fact, we're using technology now, working remotely often, but office space is really important to us, and it's a good place for companies to grow by working with others in an office environment. So I really appreciate your time today, Sean, and all the panelists. Thank you for all the questions that the participants asked. And this was a really fascinating conversation. We certainly will be able to get to everyone. So we had close to 50 questions. We couldn't get to them all today. And we'll get to everyone's question and respond to them. And we also will be sharing some information on terms of contact information. So we really appreciate you joining us this evening. Before we end the program, I really want to thank our event partners, and that would be the Northern Virginia Technology Council, the digital transformation community at the NVTC, the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, the National Science Foundation, and then the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. If you'd like more information on the digital transformation community specifically, their website is in the chat, and you can get in contact with their chair, Erica Flora. For more information on FCEDA, the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and the numerous services we provide, please visit our website at www.fairfaxcountyeda.org. And you may also contact Alex Sanchez directly. His contact information is here in this slide. Really enjoy the rest of your evening. We really appreciate you taking some time on a Wednesday evening to spend some time with us, learn about the programs, and to build a relationship with us in Northern Virginia. Thank you very much for attending, and have a good night. Thank you.